Jackson Hinkle was the first American to congratulate President Nicolas Maduro on his thumping victory in the Venezuela presidential elections. He's also one of the leaders and founders of a new political party in America, the American Communist Party. We'll talk to him about both of those things. But first, I want to ask Jackson Hinkle if he knows that there's a war on in the Middle East and 4,000 American Marines are about to be caught up in the middle of it. What's up, Jackson? You're back from your travels, but the world is helter-skelter towards conflagration. Perhaps a very big war indeed. I asked our friend Bryce Green earlier in the show if Americans even know that their sons and daughters are right in the middle of it. 4,000 Marines off the coast of Lebanon. What could possibly go wrong?
It's absolutely insane what's happening right now, but not surprising, I think, to any American that's been following the news over the past several years. I mean, you'd have to be living under a rock to believe that the American government is looking out for the best interests of the people of this country. Just like in the United Kingdom, I mean, our governments are completely cucked to the financial interests, to Wall Street, to the City of London, Bank of England, so on and so forth, and all of the warmongering cartel of political puppets that they utilize to fund these wars and to carry out these operations. Unfortunately for the West and unfortunately for their proxy in Israel, I really don't think that this is going to go as well as they do. And, you know, you and I were some of the first people, along with, the notorious Scott Ritter and Colonel Douglas McGregor, who were saying, hey, look, if Israel does in fact try to invade Gaza rather than just bomb the smithereens out of it, their military is going to suffer high casualties. They're going to lose all those Merkava tanks. They're going to be up against a real challenge, and it's going to be more than just a bloody nose that they'll be dealt. And now with the prospects of going up against the yellow men in Lebanon and going up against Iran, I mean, it's going to be the end of the end for our proxy in the Middle East, and it's not going to go well at all. Unfortunately, many people are probably going to die in the process, and anything could happen. I mean, this could tip off World War III. We really don't know how deranged, well, we do know how deranged the people are in the West leading this all. I mean, they're willing to sacrifice hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians to try and undercut the Russian economy, even though that's not working, and it hasn't worked for over 2 years now. And now they think they're going to have some political victory here. It's not going to happen.
It's good that you brought Zelensky up, because not only has he cancelled elections and therefore now ruling illegitimately with the full blessing of the United States, which will not accept the result of the presidential election in Venezuela, but not only has Zelensky cancelled the elections, he's just cancelled debt repayments. He's borrowed money from all and sundry, and he's just unilaterally announced that there'll be no debt repayments until October. And if you believe he'll start again paying in October, I've got a bridge in London, I could sell them. This Zelensky-Ukraine love affair has cost your country and mine best part of $1 trillion so far, Jackson.
Well, that's why, as you said, your show is about to reach, top 100 podcasts in America, and it's in the top in your country, and it gives me chills when you say that. But again, that is another thing that should not be surprising to either of us, given how much truth that you have spilled on this matter. I mean, you pointed out exactly right. Zelensky doesn't even have elections. He has no elections. There's no legitimacy to his reign on terror in Ukraine. The people wouldn't reelect him if there were elections today. I guarantee you that's why he's not having elections. That's why he's not signing a peace deal, because a peace deal would bring an end to this martial law that is the legal justification for there to be no elections. And all the while, they're pointing the finger at President Maduro and saying, these elections are not fair, they're illegitimate. Well, they've provided no proof. The Venezuelan elections, I saw them for myself. I was an international observer there. I got to visit countless polling stations and opposition areas and pro-Maduro areas. I was with opposition election observers. The elections were sound, fair, transparent, and free to everyone, okay? They were more transparent and safer than American elections, but we don't even need to address that. All we need to do is look at the hypocrisy about the West sending damn near $1 trillion to Zelensky with no elections, but then moaning and groaning about Maduro, who had the cleanest elections and won with about 6-7% of the vote.
Gayatri and I, we were present in 2012 for Comandante Hugo Chavez's final victory. Chavez won more elections and more referenda than any other political leader alive. Venezuela constantly has elections, has a constitution that they seem rather infatuated with. They are all the time trying to comply with liberal nostrums from countries that have no interest in those things unless they deliver a slave government to Washington. So I asked the other night, I'm asking you now, you were there, so were we in 2012. What's the point in trying to please these people? Why not become like Cuba, a place that cannot be overthrown, a place that cannot be invaded, subverted? When we were there in 2012, Jackson, there was hundreds of thousands of oppositionists marching down the streets. There was umpteen television stations spewing out hate against Chavez. Most of the newspapers were opposition newspapers. And still Chavez won. But nobody ever accepted it, is the point I'm making.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most incredible thing, right? This is the country, Venezuela, with the most oil in the entire world. On the continent, they have the most gas, they have the most golds, they have the most of all these precious mineral resources, aluminum, cobalt, so on and so forth. Okay, so obviously this is a prime target for the United States and all of, the transnational finance capital interests, right? When you look at the situation, the democratic situation on the ground, the opposition has like 8 or 9 parties that ran in this election. Most of them didn't even like the main opposition because they have so many problems with them. The main opposition is very far right wing. They're unpopular. The U.S. just kind of propped them up because the newer wave of these opposition figures like Juan Guaido are stuck in Miami. And they're stealing Venezuelan state assets like Citgo, so they're not allowed to go back to Venezuela. But, this woman, Maria Corina Machado, whatever her name is, she has literally called for the United States to invade Venezuela in a BBC interview in 2019 to remove President Maduro. She also wrote a letter to Benjamin Netanyahu saying, Israel's struggle is Venezuela's struggle, also begging him to come and invade with the IDF and free Venezuela. In any other country, that would be deemed treason. But in Venezuela, they allow her to roam out on the streets. They allow her to have this party and run these candidates. I mean, I don't take the Venezuelan leadership to be fools. I really don't. But I do think that they've been far too, lenient to trying to play ball with the Western rules. I don't think that they should continue to do that. And I had many discussions with Venezuelan leaders, over the past week and a half that I was there. I was with the foreign minister. I was with Alex Saab. I was got to speak to the president, of course. And I think that they are now at a turning point where they understand that as well. And they no longer are going to be trying to appease the West. I think they see full and well what's happening. They see the new multipolar world developing. They see BRICS membership in their near future in October. President Maduro just got invited to Kazan. I will be there in Kazan. I hope to score another interview with him and talk about his acceptance, his country's acceptance into the BRICS alignment. And, I don't see any reason why they should continue to try and appease the West when the West has done everything they can. They've tried to assassinate Maduro. They've tried to invade Venezuela. They placed 930 sanctions on the country. They stole Citgo, which is like a major, state oil resource. They stole the petrochemical company that they had in Colombia. Thank God Petro Gustavo gave it back. But, they've done everything they could to try and tear this country apart, and they still stand strong. It's beautiful.
It is, truly. Now, Gayatri, get the flight schedules for Kazan. All roads must lead to Kazan. Jackson, finally, you are one of the leaders and one of the founders of a new American party, the American Communist Party. Tell us about that and how it differs from other parties of the left already extant.
Well, the left in America really isn't left. It's liberals. These are the left mostly in America it's a dead political ideology. These are the sorts of figures you see trying to tear down the glorious statues of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson in the United States. These are the people who are pushing the agenda of George Soros, Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, so on and so forth. Whether they're doing it knowingly or not, they're doing it. What we hope to achieve, and I think we will with this party, the American Communist Party, which you can find on Twitter at ACP Maine, is a party that's actually focused on unleashing the forces of production in the United States, bringing back manufacturing, redeveloping this country. The United States is being outpaced by a factor of almost 2 times by China in manufacturing now. And we want to do this all in a way that's actually going to prioritize the needs of the people of this country. There's no reason why Bill Gates should be allowed to own all this land in America and all these resources, the oil, the gas, the whatever we have here, all of our resources. And the American people are out suffering on the streets, 600,000 homeless. We got hundreds of thousands of people dying of heart disease, cancer, obesity each and every year. It makes no sense to me. Our government is hell-bent on trying to govern us into debt. And we want to cancel the debt. We want to free America. We want to liberate the working class. And we're not going to get caught up in this woke gender, sexuality, all these politics that the liberals try to play today. No, we're about actually saving America and viewing multipolarity through the lens of communism, of Marxism, Leninism, which is unique. All these other liberal parties, they reject multipolarity. They say, we like some of the countries that are participating in BRICS, but we have problems with Russia. We have problems with China. No, the American Communist Party says that we want to be a nation amongst nations. We want to build a multipolar world with all of them. They're coming after us hard. We trended on Twitter for 5 days when we launched our announcement. Our Twitter blew up. Millions of views on Twitter, millions of views on Chinese social media as well. And just this week, a delegation of us went to Venezuela for the elections. And I will say this, there were CIA-backed Colombian terrorist mercenaries that tried to take me hostage while I was in Caracas. The State Department was aware of this. The U.S. Embassy in Bogota was aware of this. And they did nothing because those are their employees who are carrying out these acts of terror all across Venezuela and who tried to target me. So, like you, in the UK, we got to be careful. We got to be safe, but it's a common struggle. So thank you for bringing it up, and thank you for your words of encouragement on X. I really appreciate it.
Welcome. The best to you. Jackson Hinkle, always my son from another father and mother. Jackson Hinkle, US-based political analyst and host of The Dive.